Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to cut through the noise, get straight to the insights. And today, well, we're diving into something that might make you feel a little itchy. We're going deep on parasitic skin infestations in pigs, specifically lice and mange. Our mission is really to unpack these conditions. They're incredibly common, but can quite devastating. We're drawing insights from sources like parasitic skin infestations in pigs, lice and mange, and porcine parasites, lice and mange infestations in pigs. Did you know, it's kind of surprising, these tiny pests can still cost the global pig industry huge amounts, maybe hundreds of millions every year.
Yeah, it's a massive scale. It's definitely not just about the health of the individual animal. It really hits the economics of pig farming hard worldwide.
Okay, so let's look at both lice and mange. They do share some characteristics, don't they? Makes them such a headache. You've got the hog louse, Hematopenis sus, and then mange, usually from Sarcoptes scabiivores.
Absolutely.
Both cause, well, intense discomfort, skin irritation.
Right. And that irritation, the itching, it's often so severe the pigs scratch themselves constantly. They cause open sores, raw skin.
Which sounds like a perfect recipe for secondary infections.
Exactly. An open invitation for bacteria to get in. It's a major complication. And what makes them particularly tricky is how contagious they are. We're not talking about one sick pig here. Both lice and mange spread really fast through a herd if you don't get on top of it quickly.
So rapid spread.
Very rapid. And the impact on health is profound. You see reduced growth rates, pigs don't convert feed as well, just a general decline in their well-being. It's a direct hit to productivity.
Okay, let's unpack the first one then. The hog louse, Hematopenis sus. Now, this isn't just any old louse, is it? I read it's the largest louse species on domestic animals.
That's right, yeah. It's pretty big, relatively speaking, for a louse. And critically, it's a blood-sucking ectoparasite. Lives on the outside, feeds on blood.
And only on pigs.
Exclusively pigs, so you don't need to worry about it jumping to your dog or other farm animals. Now, transmission, how does it spread? Mostly direct contact, pig to pig.
Just being close together in pens.
Yeah, nose-to-tail contact, rubbing against each other, that's the main way. But interestingly, they can survive off the host for a bit, short periods.
Oh, really? So equipment could spread it?
Exactly. Contaminated gear, bedding, maybe pens that weren't cleaned properly, they can act as silent vectors. So hygiene becomes really important in breaking that cycle.
And the life cycle. You mentioned it happens entirely on the pig.
Correct. Takes about 20 to 30 days. The female lays eggs, the nits, right onto the hair shafts. They hatch into nymphs, basically little lice, and mature into adults right there. It's continuous.
A non-stop cycle.
And this is where, you see the real impact, the clinical signs. Intense pruritus. That's the itching.
Pruritus, right. The fancy word for itch.
Yeah. So pigs rub constantly, scratch against feeders, walls, anything. They cause self-trauma, hair loss, skin abrasions.
Can you actually see them, the lice or the nits?
Often, yes. The adults are visible, especially around the ears, neck, flanks, inner thighs. The nits look like tiny white specks stuck to the hair.
Like dandruff, but stuck on.
Kind of, yeah, but firmly attached. Often easiest to spot around the ears or neck. But here's a really important point. In heavy infestations, especially in young piglets, all that blood-sucking can actually cause anemia.
Wow, anemia. From lice.
Yes. Significant blood loss, and that can seriously slow down their growth, delay their time to market. That's a direct economic hit. And of course, with all that scratching, the broken skin, secondary bacterial infections are depressingly common.
So diagnosis sounds fairly straightforward then, if you can see them.
It often is, yeah. Direct observation is key. Looking for the lice or nits in those typical spots.
Maybe use a magnifying glass.
It can help, sure, especially if the infestation isn't massive, but often you can spot them without one.
And treatment. Prevention. What's the approach?
For treatment, we've got good options. Topical insecticides, pour-ons, sprays with things like pyrethroids, organophosphates, or ivermectin, applied right onto the skin. Or injectable options are very effective too, like avermectin or dormectin. They work systemically.
Right, from the inside out.
Exactly. Now, prevention, this is crucial. You have to treat the whole herd, not just the ones that look itchy.
To catch the ones that maybe don't show signs yet.
Precisely. And don't forget the environment. Clean and disinfect everything. Pens, equipment, transport, good biosecurity, regular checks, and definitely quarantine and treat any new pigs before they join the main group. That's key.
Okay, let's shift gears then. Mange. Specifically sarcoptic mange. Sarcoptes scabiivores. This one's a burrowing mite, right? And you said it's the most common and economically important one.
By far. Yes, it burrows into the skin. There's also Demodex phyloides, causes demodectic mange, but it's much less common, usually less severe. We can touch on that briefly later.
So sarcoptic mange transmission, similar to lice. Direct contact.
Primarily direct contact, yes, especially from sows to their piglets while nursing. That's a really common route. But unlike lice, these mites can survive longer in the environment, maybe a few days, even up to a week if it's cool and damp.
A week. Wow. So contaminated bedding is a bigger risk here.
It definitely plays a more significant role, yes. Makes environmental cleaning even more critical than with lice.
And the life cycle for these mites, you said it was quicker.
Yeah, about 10 to 15 days. The females burrow into the skin's outer layers to lay eggs. Eggs hatch into larvae, mature into adults, all happening right there in the skin. Now, the itching with sarcoptic mange, it's on another level. Really intense pruritus. Pigs will scratch relentlessly, rub until they're raw. Severe self-trauma, especially head, ears, neck, flanks.
You mentioned pigs might even squeal.
They can, yes.
Really?
From the sheer discomfort and irritation, it's pretty bad. And the skin lesions change over time. Early on, small red bumps, maybe some crusts, scabs, often starting around the ears, eyes, snout. But in chronic cases, the skin gets really thick, wrinkled, covered in scales and crusts. It looks terrible.
And I assume that affects their eating and growth too.
Absolutely. Reduced feed intake, poor growth, again, hitting profitability. And just like lice, secondary bacterial infections are a big risk due to the skin damage. But here's a fascinating insight about the intensity. It's not just the mites burrowing. A big part of the severe itching is often a hypersensitivity reaction, an allergic response the pig develops to the mites.
Ah, so even a few mites could cause a massive reaction.
Exactly. That allergic component means even a relatively light infestation can cause disproportionate suffering and, consequently, economic loss.
Okay, if these mites are burrowing in the skin, diagnosis must be trickier than just looking, like with lice.
You're right. It's more involved. You need to take deep skin scrapings.
Deep scrapings, where from?
From the edges of active lesions, often behind the ears or on the neck, are good spots. You scrape until you get a little capillary bleeding, ideally. Then you examine that material under a microscope to find the mites or their eggs.
Sounds like looking for a needle in a haystack sometimes.
It can be. Mites can be hard to find even in infected pigs. But the key is, finding even one mite or just one egg confirms the diagnosis.
Right.
But often, the combination of that really intense itching and the typical lesions, especially around the ears and head, is highly suggestive even before you get lab confirmation.
So you get the confirmation. What are the go-to treatments for sarcoptic mange?
Injectable acaricides, like ivermectin or doramectin, are usually very effective. They reach the mites even deep in the skin burrows.
Just one shot.
Typically 2 treatments, about 10 to 14 days apart.
Why two?
That staggered timing is crucial. The first shot kills the active mites, but maybe not all the eggs. The second shot catches any mites that have hatched from those eggs in the meantime, breaks the life cycle.
Makes sense. Are there topical options too?
Yes. Pour-on formulations with things like amitrez, organophosphates, or pyrethroids can also work. And prevention. Similar principles to lice control, but maybe even more emphasis on the environment. Definitely. Thorough cleaning and disinfection of pens is vital. Treating all pigs simultaneously is absolutely key to stamp it out. Again, quarantine and treat new arrivals, regular monitoring, especially breeding stock, and just solid biosecurity and hygiene practices. Those are your pillars of control.
Right. And you mentioned demodectic mange briefly, caused by Demodex phyloides. What's the quick story there?
Yeah, these Demodex mites are often normal residents of the skin, commensals. They don't usually cause trouble. Disease typically only happens if the pig is immunocompromised or under significant stress, so it's much rarer than sarcoptic mange.
And the signs are different, less itchy.
Much milder itching, often none at all. The signs are usually nodular lesions, little bumps or lumps, papules, maybe some pustules, often on the face, eyelids, flanks.
Diagnosis is similar, skin scrapings.
Skin scrapings, yes. Or sometimes a skin biopsy is needed to find the mites within the hair follicles or glands.
And treatment.
Usually effective with the same injectables, ivermectin or doramectin. Topicals can help too, but finding demodectic mange is often important as a clue, you know? It might signal an underlying health issue or stress factor in the herd that needs investigating.
Okay, so we've dug into the specifics of lice and these two types of mange. Let's pull back a bit. What does this all mean for you, the listener, whether you're involved in farming or just interested in where food comes from? Why does controlling these tiny parasites matter so much?
Well, connecting it to the bigger picture, the economic impact is just huge. It's not trivial at all. Both lice and mange directly hammer growth performance. Pigs grow slower, they don't use their feet efficiently, they might even lose weight, especially the young ones.
Which means it takes longer and costs more to raise them.
Exactly. Hits the farmer's bottom line directly. Then there's the increased susceptibility to other diseases. All that skin damage from scratching and burrowing, it weakens the pig's defenses. They're more prone to those secondary bacterial infections we talked about, more stressed overall.
Leading to higher vet bills.
Higher vet bills, more medication costs, more labor needed for care, it all adds up. And finally, there are the direct costs of the treatments themselves, the parasiticides, and the labor involved in applying them herd-wide. It's a significant, multifaceted economic burden. So to kind of summarize the key takeaways for you, lice, Hematopenous suis, their external bloodsuckers, cause itching, anemia risk, diagnosed by sight. Sarcoptic mange, Sarcoptostabii, ovary mites, intense itching, often with an allergic component. Crusty lesions, need skin scrapings to diagnose. Demodectic mange, Demodex phylloides, rare nodular lesions, often linked to stress or immunity issues.
And treatment relies heavily on those powerful acaricides or insecticides like ivermectin, dormectin.
Right, applied topically or injected. But the common thread for prevention, for keeping these things under control, is really about management. Regular monitoring, solid biosecurity to stop them coming in, quarantining new animals, and treating the whole herd thoroughly when you do find an issue.
This deep dive into these parasites, which are so persistent, so impactful, especially in concentrated animal populations like modern pig farms, it really raises an interesting question for you to think about. Understanding the detailed, almost military-style strategies needed to control these tiny biological challenges. The synchronized treatments, the environmental decontamination, the strict biosecurity. What broader lessons might we draw from all this? Lessons about public health, perhaps? Animal welfare, certainly. But maybe even about the resilience and the sustainability of modern agriculture itself when faced with these constant unseen battles. Something to consider.